Hello everyone and welcome on our new Zero to SP Ansible series. Are you ready to master one of the most powerful tools in IT automation? Whether you are just starting out or looking to deepen your expertise, you have come to the right place. Welcome to Zero to SP Ansible series, my new playlist that will guide you step by step through the world of Ansible. So, what exactly is Ansible? In simple terms, Ansible is an open source automation tool that allows you to manage, deploy, and orchestrate application and IT infrastructure effortlessly. Think of it as a tool that lets you automate repetitive tasks across multiple servers, making your life as a developer, sysadmin, or DevOps engineer a whole lot easier. Created by Red Hat, Ansible has grown into one of the most popular tools for managing configuration, deploying applications, and automating just about anything you can imagine. It uses a simple human-readable language called YAML, which makes it accessible for everyone, even if you don't have a coding background. Why should you care about learning Ansible? First, Ansible is agentless, which means you do not need any special software on the server you manage. Just a connection to SSH, making it super lightweight. Plus, it's easy to learn, powerful in scale, and has a large community. And because Ansible is flexible, it's used in everything from small startups to massive enterprises. Whether you are automating a single task or managing complex multi-tier applications, Ansible can simplify and streamline your operations. It's also a fantastic skill to add to your resume in the DevOps and IT automation landscape. In this Zero to SP Ansible series playlist, I will cover everything you need to become proficient in Ansible. We will start with the basics, creating our master and target servers, installing Ansible on our master server, and configuring SSH protocol between them. After that, we will set up our Git repository, understanding how it works, and from there, we will dive deeper into more advanced topics like ad-hoc command, writing our first playbook, managing files and services, learn about users and bootstrapping, rules, host, variable and handlers, template, Ansible Galaxy, and so on. By the end, you will have a solid foundation and practical knowledge to handle real-world automation tasks. Thank you for watching this video until the end. I will invite you to watch my previous series on bash scripting as well, and give a thumbs up and subscribe to make sure to get an eye on the new video on this series. See you. Welcome on our second episode on Ansible series, where we're going to learn a lot of stuff. Let's go. If you have ever wanted to dive into server management or set up a secure and efficient environment for your project, you are in the right place. Today, we are setting up a master server on Linux and configuring SSH to communicate seamlessly with our target servers, including Docker container running Ubuntu and Debian. We'll be working with a master server hosted on Linux and 3 target servers. We are going to have 1 Linux-based target server and 2 Docker container servers. The first one running Ubuntu and second one Debian. We will install OpenSSH server and configure SSH protocols to establish secure communication between this system. Let's get started. So let's setting up our master server and setting up our Visual Studio Code that we're going to use to connect remotely. So we're going to create our Alma Linux, that is our master on Linux, and setting up our Visual Studio Code and try to connect. We have $100 credit on Linux right now, so you can create a free server. So we're going to move on Google and type linux.com, and you should see something like Akamai is Linux platform. Okay, so let's sign up over there, provide your information, email, username, and so on. Okay, so I'm going to use Google to sign up here, and we're going to move forward. Okay, and you're just going to follow the different steps. After following the different steps, you're going to have your Linode platform showing up like that, and you can move on Linode, on Akamai, click on create, and start to create your new server. Okay, in this example I'm showing you how to create a CentOS 7 server, but I'm not going to use it. So you're going to click over there and choose which kind of server you want to install. So on images, I'm going to choose CentOS 7, for example, even if I'm using Alma Linux during this formation. Okay, I'm just showing up the process. So over there on share CPU, I'm going to choose the cheaper one, $5 monthly. So with $100 credit, you will be able to use it for a long period. And after that, Linode label, you can provide a Linode label, provide a password, okay? And if you are setting up everything, you can click on create Linode, okay? So after creating your Linode server, it should showing up like that. And when you are clicking on it, you should be able to see all the detail, how to SSH connected to it, how to remote connect it to it, and everything else that you need in order to work this server remotely. You have your IP address, you have the code, line of code that you're going to run on Visual Studio Code in order to connect remotely. So let's move on Google once again and type Visual Studio Code. Okay, so right there we're going to open our Visual Studio Code and website, and we're going to choose the OS version that we're going to use during this formation. For me, it's Windows, and just click on download for Windows. Okay, and after that, you will be able to set up everything and come over there, copy the SSH line and paste it after install our Visual Studio Code, and we will just move forward and type our password that we have generated on the Linode platform site. So I'm doing it quickly right there. Okay, so we are good right now. I am connected on my Linode server, okay, which is going to be my master. Okay, so I'm gonna cat etc release comment. I'm gonna make the cat etc comment in order to showing up you can see it's exactly CentOS 7 that you have choose before that is installed right now. You can see all the detail using the cat /etc star release. Okay, so once we have installed this, we're going to move forward. Okay, so let's move on our real application right now. Mine is the Alma Linux. Okay, you can see the information is it's looking a little bit different. So it's ending by 128. This is the Alma Linux server, since CentOS 7 is not supported anymore. So I'm going to install it, and I just follow the same process, and I've typed my password, and I'm good in my master server. Let's install Docker right now on this master server. To install Docker, you have a lot of methods. So before you install Docker engine for the first time on a new host machine, you need to set up the Docker repository. Afterward, you can install and update Docker from. So you can just drop a post and read all this information. You can find all this information on how to set up the repository on Docker documentation page website. Okay, so you're going to install the DNF plugin. This is the comment that the documentation of Docker going to show you, and I'm going to show you everything step by step in the following line. So after that, you will install the Docker packages. Okay, and when you have installed your Docker packages, you're going to start your Docker engine using systemctl enable command. Okay, and after that, you're going to move on the next step which is going to be verify that the installation is successful by running the command docker -- version. So we're going to move on Docker documentation right now. If you don't have a Docker Hub a credential yet, if you don't have a Docker Web credential yet, if you don't have a Docker Hub page, make sure to create your Docker page, okay, your Docker Hub page, because it's going to be helpful during all our process, okay. Docker install. So I'm typing in search in docs Docker install engine on CentOS. Since Alma Linux is a same flavor with CentOS, we're going to use information that Docker is showing up about how to install Alma Linux. So it's exactly everything that I'm describing in the previous line that I'm dropping right there. So the first is sudo dnf-y, okay, set up the repository. After that, we move on install Docker engine, running to install the latest version. We're just going to copy our code and drop the Y there to continue with your installation. So I want to advise you, always refer yourself to the Docker documentation website when you want to install Docker on a new server, if you want to avoid every issues during your working process, okay? So now we're going to start Docker engine using the command that Docker has provided to us. So we're going to do it quickly right there. So it's exactly everything that I'm describing on the beginning of this section, okay? So, okay, right now we are good, okay. So we're going to move on the next step right now, which is we already start Docker engine. Now verify that installation is successful by running the hello world image. This is an option, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use the docker -- version command in order to see if it is installing very good on my server, okay, on my master server. You see, Docker version 26.1.3 boot B7 sector. So we are good right now, okay. So what I'm going to do now is open that server on another page that I'm calling Ubuntu, okay, and I'm going to install my first Docker container, which is going to be my Ubuntu. So I'm moving on Docker Hub website, and you can see that one got downloaded more than 1 billion times, and you have a lot of feedback, and you can see the number of pulling that you got, more than 10 million. So since everything looks good, you can copy the Docker pull command and just continue with your process. But I'm not going to do like that. I'm going to run the command directly on my server, docker run -it name, the server name, -p internal external, okay. So internal external -z and image name. You can drop a pause and see all the detail. What is -i, what is -t, what is -p, okay. And if you have question, just drop your question in the comment, okay. I will be happy to help, okay. So I'm going to run that command in order to install my Ubuntu container. So docker run -it, okay, -- name. I will provide the name of my server, which is going to be a Ubuntu server, okay. So after that, I will proceed with the port, the internal port. I'm going to specify the internal port first. The internal port number first, 2200, and the external one 22, which is the number the number used by SSH protocol. -d means it's meaning in detached mode, and Ubuntu latest, that means the last version. So you can see that the Docker has been installed successfully. Now I'm going to run Docker PS in order to see information about my Docker container. You can see the container ID and image, comment created when our container has been created, the port, the name, and so on. Okay, so right now I'm going to connect myself to that Docker using the command docker attach. Okay, so I'm going to run the command docker attach and using the container ID in order to log in on this container server. Okay, now I'm inside the Ubuntu container server. Now let's install OpenSSH server. So right there, let's first run cat etc/store release in order to confirm that we are our Ubuntu server. Okay, so just a way to have a confirmation that we have the good server. You see this trip ID Ubuntu. Awesome. So right now we're going to proceed with apt update first before to install our OpenSSH. Always update. Okay, so apt update, and after that we're going to proceed with apt install OpenSSH server. So the OpenSSH server is already installed by default on our Linux server, but on container we always have to install it and configure it. So that's why we are installing it right now. And after that we're going to move in the SSHD config file in order to proceed with some configuration. So right there, they asked me to choose my state number. My country is America. My state is Denver. I just put the number for the 8th and continue with the process. Okay. So Docker is magic, guys. I'm going to run a full series on Docker after this Ansible series. It's really useful in the software development process. So now I'm going to run service status all in order to see all my services. You see SSH is down. You can see the minor sign in front. Okay, so right now I have to start it, but I'm going to run my password command first, password root, and setting up my root password. Okay, the root password that I'm going to use to access my container for everything that I'm going to need the root authorization. So right now I think that we're going to see how to configure our SSH element, SSH detail in SSH HD. Okay, so I'm going to move on the SSH directory quickly, and we're going to vim our SSH D config. Okay, for that I would like to use vim, but vim is not installed by default, so I have to install using apt install vim. Vim is a great editor that I love, and I prefer to use it on my configuration on Linux server. So now that is installed, I can proceed with vim sshd config, and I will be able to proceed with my configuration to make my Docker container accessible in the network by the other by the master server. So sshd -config. It's awesome. Here I just press I have entered the I key to be able to write. And you're going to scroll down until you arrive on permit root logging, prohibit password, and create a line. Write exactly the same thing and add yes at the end. Okay? Permit root login space yes. And we're going to register our file. Okay? After that, we're going to press escape, colon, WQ, exclamation sign in order to register changes. Okay. So we have updated our file right now. Now we're going to start our SSH daemon. Okay. So we're going to use service command to start it. So we're going to use service command service SSH start. Starting open BSD secure shell server SSHD. So now you see we have started it, and if you are doing service status -on now, you're going to see that you have a plus sign in front of SSH. Awesome. So we are good to access it using SSH command on our master. So let's do it quickly. Docker is magic, guys. You're gonna love it. So keep an eye. If you are not, if you didn't subscribe to this channel yet, do it. We're gonna come back on our server and run the hostname -i in order to get our IP address on the server. So it's that one, and we're going to go back on our master and run the SSH and just paste that IP address. And you see, you're always going to have this question. You have to say yes for the first time. And we're going to provide the password that we have created on our container before using password root command. And now we are inside our container using SSH protocol. It's just awesome. Okay, we are logging out right now. And we're going to do the same. Okay, we're going to create a new page, and we're going to create a new page or a new command line page in order to create our Debian, and we're going to follow exactly the same process, guys. Debian container server is available on Docker Hub. If you have created your Docker Hub credential, your Docker Hub page account, you should be able to see everything. So right there, I'm going to proceed with connection using SSH command on my master first before to install my Debian container. So I'm good right now. I've provided my password. So right now, since Docker is already installed, I'm just going to proceed with Docker run command in interactive mode and in detached mode. And we're going to provide the port and so on. So let's do cat/etc star release once again, just to verify that we have our Alma release 8.10. That is the one that we have created before. Okay, it's the one that we are using that is replacing our CentOS 7. Since CentOS 7 is not supported anymore by Red Hat. So we're going to proceed with Docker run -it. Okay, in interactive mode. --name, I'm going to call that one Debian server -p. Internal port number going to be 2300 and 22 for external. So I'm going to move quickly. I'm just proceeding with the same process. Okay, that's why I'm doing quickly right now. I don't want to waste your time, guys. So everything that we did before with Ubuntu Docker container, we are doing the same with Debian container. So after running with all the process, you should be able to check on service -status -all once again, and you can see that we have plus in front of SSH. So we're going to try to access it as well using our master server. So you see, we're going to say yes and provide the password that we have defined on our Debian. So you see, you are very good. Okay, so right now we're going to move on the next step. Okay, we're going to move on the next step. Exit first. So let's install our third target server, which is Alma Linux 9, the latest version, okay, on Alma Linux. So we're going to create it on Linux following the same process, even if I didn't show you once again. So you're just going to follow the same process that I have described on the beginning, and you should be able to enter your password here and get your Alma Linux 9 Linux server. So you can check using cat etc /release just to get the confirmation that is exactly that Alma Linux 9.4, which is the latest version of Alma Linux, you see. So it's exactly that one. So you can see all the detail, okay. RHEL, CentOS, Fedora. So now we're going to install our SSH key. We're going to create our SSH key on our master servers for communication and another one for our Ansible. So we're going to move on our master server once again and type the command to create our SSH key, which is SSH keygen, okay. SSH keygen, and we're going to run -t in order to provide some detail, okay. The name of our key is going to be ed25519, okay, and I'm going to use the -c option in order to provide the name of my key, okay. So I'm going to call it tech with ymk, okay, generating public private ed25519 key pairs. Enter file in which to save the key. This is the default path that I'm going to keep. Just type enter over there, enter passphrase. You can provide your last name or your first name here. Enter same passphrase. You have to provide it twice, and after that you are all set. We can check in the path of that SSH using ls-a to see everything. You have our keys over there that are showing up, right? So let's start our public key right now, and you're going to see that it's exactly the name that I've provided in my command line on the beginning. You see, you have tech with ymk at the end, and you have exactly my key. I'm not going to show you my my private key because I'm still using this server. I don't want you to block myself. So let's do right now hostname -i once again on Ubuntu in order to get the IP address and come back on our master. Let's try to connect on our Ubuntu. Let's try to copy. Now we're going to try to copy using SSH copy, okay. We're going to try to copy our SSH key on all our target server to make our connection effective. So we're going to use SSH copy -id -i. So we provide the path, which is /root/ we're going to provide exactly the path that we got before, okay. It's /root/ .ssh/ /id ed, our key number. And after that, we're going to provide our Ubuntu IP address. So I was saying that we're going to use that SSH-copy/id-I and provide the path that we got before for the public key, because we want to copy this one on our public server. That key should be available for all our target users, okay? And we provide the IP address, and after that we have the root password prompted. So we have to setting up to write our root password that we have defined before, and after that we should be good, and everything should be copied on our Ubuntu Docker server. So let's try to connect using SSH right now. You see, enter passphrase for key. So I'm just going to enter my passphrase and use the enter key, and I'm good. You see, so that's a little bit how this process is working right now with SSH key. So I'm excited that container. Right now, let's do hostname -i on Debian container. You can see, but I think that we're going to move on Alma Linux first. Address on our Alma Linux server quickly. Okay, let's come back on our master server and proceed with SSH copy -id-I, provide the public key, the SSH public key path, and finally our Alma Linux 9.4 IP address. So let's go. We want to say yes because it's the first time. Are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes. And now we're going to provide our password. Okay. Now when I'm providing my password, I'm good. Okay. So I can list the SSH file, and I have authorized keys. If I cut these authorized keys, you're going to see that I've copied exactly my key over there. So it's a file. Using LL command, you can see that it's a file. I'm going to cut that file, and you're going to see that I have exactly my tag with YMK SSH public key right there. You see, tag with YMK at the end. It's just awesome. So we're going to do the same thing for our Debian server as well. Okay. Before that, let me show you as well that our copy got success. Our copy completed successfully on our Ubuntu server as well. So I'm going to move in the SSH directory on Ubuntu, and I will show you the authorized key that is existing over there. You're going to see the tag with YMK as well. I just want to make sure that everything is perfect and make sure that you are understanding everything that I'm doing right there. So if you have a question, don't miss to provide your question in comment, and I will be happy to answer. Okay, so we're going to try to move on that SSH directory quickly in this Ubuntu server. And you know that to list a IDET file, we are using the ls-a option to be able to see the IDET files, okay, folder and file. So that's why I'm using ls. Before we couldn't see anything, but with with option -A, you can see it, and we have authorized keys over there. I'm going to cut that authorized key, and you're going to see that we have our tech with YMK as well inside. Awesome. So you can see tech with YMK at the end, and it's exactly the same key that we have on our master server. So we're going to do the same thing for Debian as well, and so on. Okay. So let's move on the next step. We're going to create now our SSH keygen for Ansible only. So this one is the key that is going to use by Ansible only. So we're going to change the name SSH keygen -c option -c, and we're going to call this one Ansible key. So this one we're going to change the path because we want to avoid the previous one to be overriding, because we're going to need the buff on the next episode. Okay, so right there I'm going to change it, and I'm going to call that one Ansible, no ID ED25519. I'm going to call that one Ansible, and I'm not going to provide any passphrase right there because I want Ansible to access my target server without ask me every time to provide a password, a passphrase. So we're going to do the same thing that we did before, and we're going to copy that key on all our servers. Okay, so you can see now that we have Ansible and Ansible.pop. Okay, so let's copy that Ansible key. That is going to be really helpful on the next step as well. Okay, so I'm going to copy it using SSH copy command on our Ubuntu, Debian, and Alma Linux 9.4 servers. So let's run SSH copy -id space -i. I'm going to provide the path of my Ansible key, my public Ansible key. And after that, the IP address of the target server. It's exactly the same process. Okay, so you already know that we are using hostname -i in order to get the IP address on our container server, right? So I'm just doing it again and again to make sure that you got it in your head for the next episode. Okay, so I'm going to copy that and drop it here and validate it. And now I'm going to enter the passphrase that I have set up before. Okay, so I'm going to provide that password quickly. So I don't know what you have provided on your side, just enter the one that you have provided on your side. I did a mistake, let me correct it. Okay, so after entering the passphrase on our first SSH key, we should be able to copy. We're gonna proceed on this with the same process and copy that key on all our target servers. Okay. No, I did a mistake right there. I have to write the full command. It's SSH copy -id, and I'm going to change that one and drop the Debian IP address right now to copy. You see, enter passphrase for key. So I'm just going to enter the password that you have defined on the previous configuration for keygen. So, you see, we got number of key added 1. It's just awesome. I'm going to do the same with the Alma Linux 9.4, sorry. So we're going to do this. We are going to do the same thing. Perfect. Passphrase. I'm going to enter my passphrase quickly. Awesome. So sorry if my English looks a little bit like French. French is my first language, so I want to apologize for that. But I can promise that I will make sure to be better and better to make myself understandable. So after that, we're going to come back on our Ubuntu server and check to see if we have our Ansible key copy correctly. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Oh, I did a mistake. So let's cut our authorized keys, and you will see that we have 2 keys right now. The first one is tech with YMK, the next one is Ansible. You see, it's just awesome. Alright, so we are all good. We can check the same on Alma Linux, on Debian, and everything should be okay. Okay, we should have the same output. Okay, so let's now run the SSH-i using our Ansible to connect, and you're going to see that we are not going to need to provide our passphrase anymore using our Ansible key. So we're going to do it for Ubuntu. SSH-i/root/ okay, Ansible key, and right there load key root perp bad permission. Okay, so that one couldn't work. We have to use the private key, our private Ansible key on our master site. You see, using our private key Ansible without perp, directly we have connected without any passphrase. It's just awesome. So if you are trying the same for Debian and Alma Linux, you're going to see that you can connect to this server using Ansible key without any passphrase added. Okay, so that's a little bit how that thing works, and I think that it should be good for this video. It's enough long for this episode. So you see, using Debian is the same. So today in this episode, we have learned how to set up our Linux server that are going to be useful during this Ansible series. We are setting up both of them on Linode, the master server, and one of our target server. And we did the same with both of them on virtualization system named Docker, where we are setting up our Ubuntu Docker container and our Debian Docker container. I want to invite you to give a thumbs up to this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and provide all your questions in comments, and I will be happy to help. Let's talk about it. What do you think that I can make in order to make our next video look better and better? and I will really appreciate all your observation and your strength in the comment. See you soon. Ciao. Hello guys, and welcome in our today's video, the third on our Ansible series, where we are going to learn how to setting up the SSH agent on our master server in the first time. Then secondly, we will setting up the GitHub repository for our Ansible tutorial series, and finally configure our SSH key on GitHub and proceed with a couple tests to make sure that everything is working fine with our first git push origin command. Let's get started. So let's start with eval $SSH-agent. You see? So that's how we have our agent PID that is showing up. We can grep in order to make sure that it's here. So we're going to run ps aux grep pipe in grep command, and we're going to find that PID process, and you're going to see that it's existing. So that's how we are creating a SSH agent. You can see we have a SSH agent on that process ID number. Okay, so we are good right now. Let's move on the next step. We're going to see how to create an alias, but before that, let's do a SSH add in order to add that agent. So right there, I'm going to provide my passphrase that I have defined before, and we are all good. So let's try to connect right now with SSH agent. You're going to see the difference between this one and the previous video or episode. You see, I got connected directly because the SSH agent is working on the background process. Okay, so let's run alias SSH AG and run the same command, the both at the time. And when I'm doing SSH AG, you can see agent PID that is showing up. Okay, so I can provide my passphrase right now, and you can see that everything is working well as well. Okay, so right now I'm going to move forward and try to make it persistent, because right there, if I'm rebooting my server, I'm not going to be able to have that same alias defined. So I'm going to vim my bash rc file, and I'm going to add that alias that I've created here in order to make sure that it's still persistent every time that I'm connected to my server. So I'm going to create that line using the I key to be able to write. Okay, and I'm just going to type alias SSH AG for agent equal, and I'm going to provide my comment. Okay, eval $SSH agent and SSH add, and I'm going to register it by colon WQ exclamation point. Okay, so if I'm running alias SSH AG again, you can see that it's showing up, right? Even if I reboot my server, everything is still going to be here. So right now, let's do something else there. Okay, we're going to try to connect to our master server quickly. So once we do that, we're going to try to proceed with something else. We're going to go on Google and try to set up our GitHub repository quickly. So I'm going to click over there. If you don't have a GitHub repository account yet, just sign up on Google and make sure to configure everything. Okay, so I'm going to provide my email. They're going to ask you to provide your email for the first time, and you're going to turn the object on the same side with the finger angle. And when you finish with that, you're just going to submit it and everything should be okay. So you have a couple questions that you're going to answer, and you're going to provide a code that they are sending to you on your email, and you should be good to start. Okay, so just follow all the process and you're going to be on the page. GitHub has a free version. Okay, so with a free version, we should be able to do everything that we have in this series. So we're going to use our free version. Okay, so you can see the pay version have a couple of things that the free version doesn't have. So once we have our Git account open, it's going to show a little bit like that. And we're going to proceed by create our repository for our Ansible series. We're going to just proceed with a click on create repository, and we're going to provide a name for our repository. I'm going to call it Yarn Ansible tutorial, and you can provide the description after that. We're going to keep it public. GitHub is a powerful tool to use in the collaboration when we are working on the software development project. Every DevOps engineer have to know how to use Ansible. So it's essential for us to talk about it right now, and we're going to use it during our Ansible series in order to make sure that we keep a backup, a kind of backup of our different script on Ansible site, on GitHub site. Yeah, so that's a little bit it, and I will come later on it and explain you more and more in order to make you understand how Ansible gonna be helpful for us on the next step on this DevOps channel. Okay, so I'm gonna get down, add a README file, yes, because the README file is the file where we're gonna have description about our different script or code. Okay, so our master branch here is main. So a couple years before it was master, but now it's main that is showing up now. So we're going to use main in our command. So we're creating our repository, and now it's good. You can see that we have this repository is going to have resources about my Ansible series. Okay, so we are all good. After that we move on setting on the right side upstairs. We're going to go on setting. Okay, you're going to click on profile and setting, and after SSH key, and you're going to come on new SSH key. Okay, there are no SSH key associated with your account, so I'm going to click on new SSH key in order to add the SSH key that I've set up on our previous video. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to give a name. It's take with YMK, the name, and after that we're going to move on our server side in order to copy that key. So you remember that SSH slash the name of our key. So it's that one. You're going to copy it and come back on our Git repository, on our Git account. We're going to link it with our Git account. Authentication key type, yeah, we're going to keep it like that, and we're going to paste it here. Normally, when we are adding a new key, we will receive an email that alert us that we have added a new key on our Git account. So we are all good right now. So I can come back here and I can list. You can see I have only my Docker file, and I will use I'm going to click on code and click on SSH because I want to proceed with SSH connection, and I'm going to copy that and proceed with the command git clone in order to clone it on my server. So it's so easy, man. It's so easy, guys. So we're going to do git clone and provide that link and just say yes, and everything should be okay. All right, so we are good. So right now we have our Yarn Ansible tutorial here. I'm going to move inside that Ansible. So we have our readme file, you can see. So it's exactly what we had on other side. We have the same content since we have cloned it. And you can see when I call it, this repository is going to have resources about my Ansible series. So it's exactly what I have provided on other side. I'm going to vim that file quickly in order to show you how how we are working with Git to update the couple stuff. So I've deleted that previous line and I'm going to add a new line. So the new line that I'm adding is, this is going to be awesome. Like and subscribe. Oh, please subscribe. I don't need to talk a lot. So after that, I'm just going to proceed with the next command. The next one is git status that I'm going to run in order to see the status on my repository folder. You see, modify readme in red. That means that I've proceeded with some modification. So now I'm going to proceed with give diff the name of the file in order to see what has changed. And you can see in red what has changed and what I've added in green. That's a little bit how you're going to work with GitHub every time. So as I said before, it's a great tool for collaboration and update process in software development. We're going to have to talk about it soon more and more. So now I'm going to do git status, and you're going to see that we still have modify readme red. Okay, so we have to proceed with git add command in order to add the command that the modification that we got, and we have to make git add space dot or git add the name of the file that we have changed. But in this case, I'm going to make git add space dot. So that means dot means here. Okay, so we go now. If I'm typing git status once again right now, you see modify is green right now. So it's just awesome. Okay, so right now I'm going to proceed with the next step is git commit. Git commit going to allow us to provide a description about what we did. Okay, what we did exactly. So I'm running git commit -m my first readme update. So when we're going to open on other side after git push, you're going to see that we have exactly that message explaining what's going on, what we did on it. 1 file change, 3 insertion, 1 deletion. You see, every data is showing up with Git. Okay, so it's just awesome. Right now, let's run git push origin space main, and you will see that everything going to move forward. Awesome. So right now, if I'm moving on other side, you're going to see that the update that has proceeded going to show up on other side as well right now. Okay, so let's try to move on our GitHub site account, and I'm going to update my page upstairs, and you can see now my first readme update. You see the line that I've added with my git comment. You see, and if I click on it, you see, when I'm clicking on it, you see in the readme we have all the changes. You see, this repository is going to have resources by my So on red color, you can see all the modification, and green, you have what I've added. So it's just awesome, guys. So we are arriving at the end of our third episode on Ansible series, and we have learned today how to sync up our SSH agent in order to make our SSH connection easier on the next process. And also we have learned how to create our GitHub account, setting up our GitHub repository with the SSH key that we have already on our master server. Finally, we release our first git push origin main command, and everything works after the test. So we are good to move forward on add command in the next episode. See you soon. Welcome back in this episode on our Ansible series. We are diving into the world of ad-hoc command, one of the Ansible's most powerful tools for quick one-time tasks. Ad-hoc command in Ansible allow you to execute tasks on remote system without needing to rewriting playbook. Think of them as you go to solution for those quick fixes or tests across multiple machines. For example, let's say you want to check the disk usage on several servers. Instead of logging into each server one by one, you can use a single ad-hoc command to do this efficiently. Ansible all-m shell-a df-h. Here, Ansible all specifies all the servers in your inventory. The -m flag tells Ansible which module to use, in this case, shell, and -a passes the actual shell command, df-h, to check this space. Just like that, you have run a command across all your servers simultaneously, fast and simple. So let's install Ansible on our master server. To do that, we're going to connect using our Visual Studio Code, our IDE, and we're just going to check how to install Ansible. Okay, let's say that you have no idea about how to install Ansible. Okay, so let's check first how if Ansible is installed or not on our server. It's not. We're going to use a AI tool named Claude.ai in order to see how to install the latest core version for Ansible on the Alma Linux server. I want to share that with you because Ansible AI tool are essential these days. So every tech has to know how to use AI tool to make some quick search and so on. So this is a particularly of this channel. I'm going to learn you a couple thing about how to use AI tool as well to make some fast search and get your work done. Okay. So we're going to start with DNF install EPL release, and after this step, we're going to copy the next command that Claude has provided us, which is sudo DNF install Ansible -core. And this command is going to install the last version of Ansible. We're going to do Y for yes, and you're going to see that we have our Ansible installed when we are verifying with Ansible -- version after that. Okay. So you can see the specification if you want to use Python pipe to install, if you want to use Git repository and so on. So you can ask to have also references for all the stuff that you are asking to AI tools in order to read more and so on. So that depends on you. So right now, when I'm doing Ansible -- version, you can see that I have core 2.16.3, which should be the last version of Ansible right now on December 2024 when I'm creating this episode. So let's do a pre-roll directory in order to see where we are, and we're going to move right now in our home directory. Okay, where we have our yarn Ansible tutorial that we have created before, clone it from our Git repository. Okay, so we're gonna cd that yarn Ansible tutorial repository in local. And now let's configure our first inventory file. Inventory file is also our host file, okay? So it's the same one. If you heard about host file in Ansible, you have to know that Ansible host file is also called inventory file. So let's move. Once we have cd this file, when I'm listing it, you can see that we have only our readme.md file. Okay, so right now I'm going to create my inventory file in local. Okay, so I'm going to use vim command in order to create my inventory file on my repository locally, and I'm going to add here all my my IPs, my target IPs address. Okay, so I'm going to use my hostname-i on my container server in order to get the IP address, and just copy and paste inside my inventory file in order to make them accessible using my Ansible command. So you can say that my IP address for my container have changed. That's because I have to reboot it my server, my master server. That's why my IP has changed, mainly for Docker, but the one of Alma Linux is still the same. So I'm just going to copy it and add it right there. So I'm talking about it just for people that started this theory from the first episode. We are on episode 4 right now. So if you didn't watch the previous episodes, let's check them in order to make sure that you understand everything. So right now you can see that we have our inventory file. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to show you how the thing works. Okay, so we're going to update our repository on GitHub site as well. Git status can show us that we have one modification, inventory in red. So I'm going to run the different command git add, and after that you can see that I've added it, and I'm going to make my git commit command -m and provide a note about it. So I'm going to say in comment that my first update inventory file, because after rebooting my system, I had to modify my inventory on back off. So that's why I'm saying my first update of my inventory file. So when I go to move on GitHub site, you're going to see that I've deleted the previous inventory that I did on back off. So that's why now I have my first update of my inventory file. Okay, yeah, because my IPs for my container have changed. So I'm going to do git push. Finally, I already explained how we proceed to work with GitHub in order to share our code, in order to make some kind of increment backup when we are working in the previous video. So let's check that one if you didn't see it. I've explained everything over there. So you can see that now I have my inventory file with my new IPs updated. Okay, and if I'm moving, you can see that I have there first update of my inventory file. If I click on this one, you can see that I have deleted the previous one, and you can see everything that I've changed inside. Okay, so that's a little bit how we are working. We're gonna have with Git all our increment backup on GitHub site, and we should be able to to work in collaboration with some software developer and so on. So I absolutely want you to take advantage of that GitHub version control tool. So I'm going to talk about it every time in this series in order to make you familiar with it, okay? So once I did that, we're going to move on the next step. I'm going to use locate command in order to locate my Ansible key. Let's say that you forget the path for Ansible key. So locate command is a powerful command that you are using nowadays. You don't have to you don't need to use find command anymore. Just install locate command using yum plocate or apt mlocate, depending on your flavor on Linux, and you're gonna have it done. So I can see my key, my path key over there. I'm just gonna run my first ad-hoc command, Ansible all --k -5 / I'm providing my key path I list my inventory -m. I provide the module ping that I'm going to use, and you can see we have ping pong, and ping pong, and ping pong for my 3 servers, for my 3 target servers. So that's perfect. That means that our Ansible is working perfectly with our Ansible key that we have created in our episode number 2. You can move on that episode in order to learn how to create a Ansible key to access your target server. Now let's configure our first Ansible config file. So our Ansible config file is the file that we're going to use in order to provide the necessary information, the necessary detail, and avoid us to write a lot when we are using our ad-hoc command, okay? So for that, what we're going to do is we're going to call this as a group default, okay, in our Ansible config file. And as default configuration, we're going to provide the name of our inventory file, which is inventory in local repository. So I'm going a little bit slowly in order to make sure that you understand perfectly. And also we're going to provide the path key, okay, our secure SSH key. What is the path for that private SSH key on our server? So we're going to provide it as well. You remember that we used it when we were running the ad-hoc command, okay? So right there, I'm just going to provide the path, which is in my home directory in the .ssh folder, and I'm going to provide the name of my key, Ansible. When I'm done with that, I'm just going to register my, I'm going to update my file, my Ansible config file, using the escape key, colon, and WQ, and finally exclamation sign, okay? So I've talked a lot about how to handle your script, how to mastering your script in my previous series on bash scripting. You can move on that series as well and learn to be a master with bash scripting. So right there, when I'm listing, you can see that I have Ansible config file, inventory file, and readme file. I'm going to run the command again, but now I'm taking out everything about, you know, I've taken out my path and my inventory for my my different options, okay? So there's no more path, and I can move also that key option. So I can run it directly using Ansible all -module ping. and you're going to see that everything going to work directly. You see, I have my same ping pong with a shorter line of comment. You see, so that's a little bit how Ansible config file going to help us. Okay, so right now I'm going to move in etc directory in order to show you all the Ansible file that get installed automatically on my server once I've installed Ansible. So I have an Ansible config file as well. Host is a inventory file as well. So I also have roles that we're going to talk about later in this series. So I just want to make sure that you understand that you're going to have it, you're going to always have it in that etc directory. But when I'm running a command locally in my repository, is the parameter that I got in my repository that going to be the first one executed by my system. Okay, so that's a little bit why I've created that one and make something customized for my repository and so on. So right now we're going to try to run something else. Okay, so I'm going to try to check the OS version that I have, the OS information that I have on all my target server using Ansible command. So I'm doing Ansible all -m using the shell -a, and I'm going to run the command cat/etc release. You know that command, right? This is the command that we are using in order to check what OS we are using on our server. And you're going to see as a magic, I'm going to have an output on my 3 servers. You see? So even if I have 5 servers, I can have the output for the 5 server using that only line of command. So that's why Ansible is just powerful, and it's something that you have to know. Ad-hoc command is powerful. It's not that it's not powerful than playbook, but it's doing some awesome stuff already. You see. So right now we're going to move on the next step. Okay. We're going to try to discover how we can use ad-hoc command in order to gather some information on our server. Okay, so we're going to use Ansible all --list host first. This command going to list us all the server that we got on our inventory. You see, and after that we're going to use another command to check all the information about our servers. Maybe in order to run some troubleshooting, it can be helpful to proceed it. So that command is the gather fact module option. So let's see it. So for that, I'm running Ansible all -m gather facts Then when I'm validated, you can see all the information about my different server. Okay, so there is a lot of information. Okay, so this one can be helpful if you want to troubleshooting, check some inode ID, some specific information as well about your server. If I want to use it efficiently, I can use the more command, so I can move one page after one. So using the space key, you see. So you can see I have a lot of information that can be helpful in order to troubleshoot. Okay, the name server, the size, and so on. So if I want, let's say that I want to use that command in order to get information on a specific target server. I'm going to use the option that dash limit and provide the IP address for the server that I want to look on. So that's how you can specify a command, okay? That's how you can specify a server in order to get information using the gather fact module, okay? So it's just awesome. There you go. So you can see Ansible virtualization tech host, Ansible virtualization type Docker. So you have a lot of information, but right now only for the one that I've specified. So that's a little bit how the dash limit option is working. You can see Ansible architecture, BIOS date, Ansible BIOS vendor is Linode. You can see a lot, okay? Boot image, you can see you have information about boot image. So that's a little bit it about gather facts. So I would like to show you how we can use Ansible ad-hoc module on that way as well, okay? So the shell that you are using is bin batch. So the user that launched the comment is root. So a lot of things that you can use in order to troubleshoot some issue with your target server, okay? So right now we're going to try something else, okay? Right now we're going to try something else. At the end of this video, I'm going to provide you the link to access the documentation on ad-hoc command on Ansible documentation website. So now I'm listing once again my repository file, and you can see my different you can see all the file that I have right now. So right now we're going to update our repository on GitHub since we have added Ansible config. So I'm running the git add command. Git status, you can see that I've updated. And I'm going to run my git commit, provide detail about my Ansible config file that I've created using the -m option or module. It's my first version of Ansible config file. It's just awesome. After that, I'm just going to proceed with git push in order to have it online. So I'm still repeating it almost after each step right now, just to make you familiar with how Git is working. On our next episode, I'm going to do it once at the end. Okay? So you can see if I reload my page, you can see that I have Ansible.cfg that is existing right now. It's just awesome. And when I click inside, you can see everything that I have provided, defaults, group, and so on. So we're going to move on more practice with ad-hoc command. I'm going to show you how we can group my server and use the group option name in order to apply a command on a specific group. So it's really useful. We're going to talk more about it in our playbook, but it's already possible to make some application with ad-hoc command as well. So I'm going to divide my target server in two groups. The first group going to be my container server, and the second one going to be my Linode server, which is the IMA Linux 9.41. So I'm just going to specify it using this structure. And I will register, I will update it. And after that, I'm going to use the group name in order to apply the ping module that we did before, that we have used before. Okay, so I've cut it just to show you once again, and let's see what we're going to have right now. And I will register, I will update it. And after that, I'm going to use the group name in order to apply the ping module that we did before, that we have used before. Okay, so I've cut it just to show you once again, and let's see what we're going to have right now. Ansible, I'm going to specify the group name container server first. Or let's say Linode server first. And you see, Ansible Ansible targeted only the Linode server, since I specified the group Linode server. If I'm specifying right now the group container server, you're going to see that Ansible going to target the both that we have in our container server group. So in this episode, we have learned how we can use ad-hoc command in order to release magic tasks on our target server. Make sure to subscribe and give a comment if you have some question. And make sure to subscribe, because we're going to move forward in this magic with Ansible, with playbook in our next video. See you. Thank you. Hey everyone, and welcome back to DevOps with Yannick. Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful tools in the Ansible ecosystem, the playbook. A playbook in Ansible is essentially the blueprint for automating tasks on your servers. It's written in YAML, and it tells Ansible exactly what to do and in what order. Think of it as a step-by-step recipe for managing configurations, deploying applications, and orchestrating complex workflows. So, why use a playbook instead of ad-hoc commands? Ad-hoc commands are great for a quick one-off task, but when you are managing multiple servers or running the same task repeatedly, playbook saves you time, reduce errors, and ensure consistency. Alright, let's break down the structure of a simple playbook here. So we have 3 hyphens on the beginning. On the next line, we have 1 hyphen, name, install and install Apache, host web servers, become, yes, task, name, install Apache, home, name, HTTPD, state, present. Then after that, the last name, start Apache service, module service, name HTTPD, state started. Let's break it down. Name describes the playbook's purpose. Host specifies which server this will apply to. Become gives admin privileges. Tasks, the list of the action to perform. Notice how clear and readable it is. That is the beauty of YAML. Each task runs sequentially, and if one fails, Ansible stops the playbook right there. Running a playbook is as simple as Ansible playbook, the name of the YAML file. And just like that, Apache is installed and running. Playbook can handle much more complexity, from conditional to loop and even rules that help you organize large-scale automation projects. So let's move on our server and list the content of our Yarn Ansible tutorial, and we're going to create the file name create user.yaml. This is our first playbook that we are writing in order to create a specific user on all our servers. So for that, we're going to start with 3 hyphen, move down, scroll down, and hyphen. We're going to write down host, and the host here is everybody, so all. We move on the next line. We're going to provide task. Okay, so the task going to allow us to define the different name of tasks that we're going to execute it in this playbook. Okay, so let's write our first task. For that, we have to move twice on the right side, beginning to the limit, and we're going to put the hyphen space name colon, and we're going to name this task create a user account. Okay, and we're going to use the module Ansible Ansible.built-in.user. Okay, so use Ansible.built-in is great because that can ensure that even if we move forward on many other distribution or some update, that's still going to be work. So if we move forward with a new version, Ansible is going to allow us to find the correspondent and just continue to run our command. So on the next line, we're going to move on the right side again twice, and we're going to write the name of our user that we're going to create. I'm going to name it Dana, and I'm going to provide more information about that user account, the groups. Okay, the group going to be make sure to choose a group that is existing already or the same name that you have provided. So I already have a dev group on all my servers, so that's why I'm using dev right there. And shell, I'm going to use the shell bin bash. Okay, so I'm providing all the information that I want to see about my user when the user is going to be created. Okay, so just follow up, and after that, when we're going to run our playbook, you're going to see that everything is showing up exactly with all this information. So when we talk about how to create a user in a couple months ago, we talk about all this precision that you can provide. The comment, you can provide a comment attached to your user as well. So here I've provided the best one. Okay, so what else? We can give a state. Okay, with the state we're going to say present. That means that you're going to be create that user, and after I can use the absent here. After I create it, I can use the absent and run the playbook again, and that one going to delete that user on all my server. Okay, so right now I'm going to make Ansible playbook, which is the command to run our playbook, and I'm going to add the name of our file and add the syntax in order to check if syntax looks good. Okay, once it's good, we didn't receive any error on our syntax, I'm going to take it out now and run it again, and you see we have task get string fact. After that, create a user account. We can see change, and we have the play recap at the end. Okay, so that's how it's working. You can see You have change 1, unreachable 0, fail 0, skip 0, rescue 0, ignore 0. That's awesome. We're going to move on our server and check if that user has been created exactly. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to count the search etc password, which is the file that contains all my user. Okay, you can see I have Dana with all the specification that I have provided. So it's just awesome. If I'm checking on Debian and Alma Linux 9.4 as well, you're gonna see that we have exactly the same output, guys. Okay, so it's just awesome. Send me all your questions in the comment if you are not understanding something, or if I'm going so fast. Okay, so I'm trying to be explanatory as much as possible. You can see on Debian as well we have the same. So that's a little bit how it's working. So I'm going to move on the next example now. I'm going to create a HTTPD YAML file. That one we're going to use it in order to install HTTPD on my different server. Okay, so for that I'm starting with my three ... and I'm going to give a precision about the name of this playbooks first. So that's why I'm putting on the same element on the same position. Okay, this is not a task. Install HTTPD on different servers. So this is the purpose of this. Okay, of the general scripts. Okay, my host is all. Become, I'm going to add become. I'm going to put it through. Become means I want to use sudo. So you're going to make sure that on your container server you have sudo install. If not, let's install it. Okay, so our first task going to be name, install HTTPD on Ubuntu and Debian. Okay, so for that I'm going to use module apt. I didn't use built-in anymore here, just to show that you can use another way. Okay, so the name is Apache 2, state is present. Apache 2 is the name of HTTPD on Ubuntu and Debian distribution. So I'm going to add the one module in order to add Ansible OS family Debian. So install this only when the Ansible OS family is Debian. Okay, that's why also on the top I put all, because I'm going to introduce when on each of my tasks. Okay, so about HTTPD on Alma Linux, I'm going to use the module DNF that you know, and the name is HTTPD. The name is not Apache 2. So HTTPD and the state is present, and I'm going to add the one module as well at the end. So Ansible OS family have to be equivalent to Red Hat family here. Okay, so I'm going to add the Red Hat. So Ansible is able to understand that, guys. Okay, so it's just awesome. At the end I'm going to give you some link where you can find more documentation about all this. Okay, so our next task is start Apache 2 using command, because I'm using container right there. Normally with HTTPD I'm going to use service, but service sometimes it's not going to work with container, Docker container server. So that's why I'm using the command. So I'm using command Apache 2 control star. Okay, so this is the command that I'm using to run it, and I'm going to provide an argument. Okay, the argument going to be I'm going to create the path of the argument that we're going to use to attach to that command. So it's going to be a var run Apache 2, okay, / Apache 2.pid. Okay, so you absolutely have to use that when you use Apache 2 control to make it work. Okay, so you absolutely need argument. I talked a lot about argument on our previous series on scripting, bash scripting. Let's check that series if you didn't see it yet. You're going to learn a lot. Okay, so our next task is going to be to start HTTPD. Okay, I'm going to start HTTPD and enable it. Okay, on Alma Linux 9.4. So I'm going to use the module service. I can also use systemd, but service should be okay as well. Okay, so service, the name of service is HTTPD, and the state is present. Or I'm gonna use started because it's a service. I want to start a service, and enabled, I'm going to say true. Okay, so I'm going to give the precision with my one module as well. Ansible OS family Red Hat, equivalent to Red Hat or equal to Red Hat. And you're going to see it's just awesome, all the possibility that Ansible can provide us. So we can check a little bit and we can see that everything looks good. Okay, if everything is okay, I'm going to do $WQ exclamation sign, and when I list, we have our file here. So I'm going to try the Ansible playbook that check option in order to get some preview about how my playbook going to run. Okay, so this one is pretty much that like syntax, but it's better because you can see how your output going to look like, and if you are satisfied about how your output going to look, you're going to launch it again and take out the dash check in this case. So you can see if I'm moving right now on my server, you're going to see that nothing happened, nothing has been installed, or Apache or HTTPD, nothing has been installed on my different servers. Okay, so this one can show you that on Tasta Apache 2 using command, we're going to have change on one server. Another one is okay because it's already installed on it and started. So when I'm making which HTTPD, for example, on Alma Linux 9, you see nothing has changed. So right now, since everything looks pretty good, I'm going to take out the check right now and run normally. And now you can see task gathering fat, okay, in green. That means that everything was already okay about this task. And start HTTPD, you have change. That means that we have something new that has been installed. Okay, about star Apache 2, we have it start only on one Docker, and everything looks good on recap. Okay, so it's exactly the same that we got before. Okay, so I'm going to make hostname on Alma Linux to get my hostname about my Linux server, and I'm going to move online and paste it and run it, and you can see that I have Alma Linux test page with Apache that is showing up using my IP address. So it should be the same with our Docker container server, but I didn't open the port 18 on it. On the next episode, I'm going to try to open it when I'm going to talk more about services and so on. Okay, but you can see that when I'm checking service Apache 2 status, you're going to see that it's running on Ubuntu, and normally it should be able to run as well on Debian. Okay, so I did a mistake. It's service Apache 2. Hold on. Okay, Apache 2 is running, you see. So our installation has been successful. So that's a little bit how that thing works. Okay, I'm going to make git add dot in order to add everything on our repository online. And after that, I'm going to make git commit in order to commit everything. -m to provide a comment about what I've changed. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the file that I've added. So we have the create httpd.yaml and the create user.yaml. So we have to formulate something to write about it. Just to make our work more organized and so on the online site. Okay, so we have added two playbook. So I'm going to provide the name of my playbooks that I've wrote, sorry. So that I've written. So it's create user.yaml and create httpd.yaml. So it's just awesome. What does that mean? If we had 1,000 server on our container server and 1,000 on our Linux server, is everything should work same? Yes, the answer is yes. So the power of Ansible is to allow you to run a same command on 1,000 of server just by a click, by running an Ansible playbook. Okay, so and it's just the beginning. We're going to talk more about it in the next video, where we're going to talk about how to move forward with services, configure some services, and the configuration of file, roles, how to use roles, and so on the large amounts of data and so on. Okay, so you can see we have git push, origin man, and everything looks good. If you're moving on the GitHub side right now and I refresh my page, you can see that we have added a couple things. Okay, so it's showing up 25 minutes ago because I took some time before to continue with the GitHub the Git add process. So this is the documentation that I've attached in the description of this video, where you can see everything about how to introduce yourself with playbook syntax and so on. You have some example of how to write your playbook. So move on that one. Make more search. You can click on the right side as well and enter some specific search. You can see that the check that I've talked about. There is a lot. You can see that the syntax that I've used as well. You can come on search docs over there and just type whatever you need, how to start services with Ansible, and you're gonna have everything, how to use it with Amazon Web Service. You see? So just make your search, okay? Make your search and you will learn a lot, okay? Comment right over there to learn more about Ansible. Start service in Docker Container Server. You see? So I have documented myself a lot about all this before to come to talk about it with you guys. So I'm inviting you to come and read about how Ansible is working and learn more about documentation. I will provide this link in the description of this video. Okay. So, and let me know if you have more questions. How to create a user. Okay, you see, you have parameters that you have to use, or you can use, you have examples that you can use. Okay, you see, you can provide the UID if you want. You can provide when the password gonna expire, after how many time the user gonna need to renew his password, and so on. Hello guys, and welcome back on DevOps with Yannick. Today we are diving into both of the most powerful concepts with our playbook with Ansible, and today is the episode number 6. So we're going to talk about today about managing file, how to manage file with Ansible, and also we're going to discuss a little bit about tags on Ansible playbook, how to handle them, and so on. So let's move on our Linux server, and I'm going to proceed with Vim to create our file default site.html. So I'm just going to make a basic HTML script right there to display a couple words, a couple sentences on our website. This is not a HTML class, but provide all your questions in the comment if you have some difficulty to understand what I'm doing here. So HTML, I'm going to provide a head with the title, welcome to Apache, and I'm also going to provide some kind of body where I'm going to ask to display welcome to Apache on H1, and I'm going to provide a paragraph where I'm going to ask to display, if you can see this page, Apache has been successfully installed and configured. And after that, I'm just going to close my HTML script and save it, WQ exclamation sign. So right now, I'm going to move on Vim configuration.yaml file. So this is the file that I've updated after our previous video, our previous episode. Check that one before to come here to make sure to understand everything. We're already on our episode number 6. So we have our first page for update. The hosts all become true. We have a couple pre-tasks. I already explain what means become. It's administrative. Is to use administrative access to run that code, and also we have the name, install, update for Debian. I have provided tags as well. I'm going to talk more about tags by the end of this video. Using apt, we're going to upgrade, we're going to update cage, yes, and the precision is when Ansible OS family is equivalent to Debian. And about in your errors, I'm going to say yes as well. So that's a little bit it about that part, and I'm going to move on install update for Red Hat, and I'm going to use the tags always again. And as I said, I'm going to discuss more about that tags notion by the end of this video. So I'm going to run using DNF module, some update, and I'm going to precise the when Ansible OS family equivalent to Red Hat, and in your error is going to be yes as well. Okay, so after that, the second page for web server installation, most of the things that we have here existed already on my previous by the end of my previous video on this Ansible series. So I just complete a couple things like tags and so on. All right, so we have installed HTTPD on different server, and we have started with our HTTPD and PHP on Docker servers. So I have added some tags, Apache 2 and Ubuntu. I've used apt command in order to give my module Apache 2 and lipache 2 mode PHP, and the state is present to make it install normally when Ansible OS family Debian. And after that, I'm doing the same for HTTPD on Alma Linux. Okay, so the tags here are HTTPD, Alma Linux, the module DNF, and I name HTTPD PHP. The state is present, which means that I want them to be installed.
and I also precise the when for Red Hat. After that, we have the copy default HTML file for site. Okay, so we use for that the tags Apache 2 and HTTPD, and our source is default site.html. You remember the destination gonna be var 3w.html/index-html. We are precising a couple more information like owner. The owner is root, the group is root, and the mode is some kind of permission of our that we're gonna attach on our file 0644. I have a class on permission written is already on this channel, so let's check that one if you have no idea about this. It's not the purpose of this video. So after that, we're going to proceed with star Apache 2 in Docker container, and we provide tags. Command is Apache 2 control start. I'm going to provide an argument. I talk a lot about this in the previous video as well, so that's why I'm moving a little bit faster. Name star and enable HTTP on Alma Linux for the next task, and the tags are HTTPD and Red Hat. I'm going to use the service module here. Name HTTPD, state started, enable true. Okay, so the one Ansible OS family. Okay, so after that, I think that we're good. Okay, I'm gonna save it WQ exclamation after our column. So right now we're gonna try to check if our YAML program or YAML script looks good using the check option. So Ansible playbook configuration file.yaml.check. I've talked a lot about it in the previous video. Let me know in the comment if you don't understand something. So when I'm running this, you can see that the getting tags, the getting fast tags are okay already, because I've do it on our previous video already, on our previous step. But about install update, we have changed for all the Debian, and after that, install update are good. We are moving on the next step. You can see that everything works good, and you have our pre-recap on the bottom. Okay, so that means that our YAML file, our YAML code looks great, and we should be ready to run it normally right now without the check option. Okay, so you can see our getting fact move forward without any issue. Our update process also succeeded without any issue. And for our install HTTPD on different server on the bottom, you can see that everything proceeded successfully as well. Okay, you can see that everything looks good. Okay, so it's just awesome. Okay, it's just awesome. When I'm moving down, you can see it's pretty much it. Everything looks good. So I will definitely run the command right now without the check option, and I'm pretty sure that everything gonna look perfectly. Once again, let me know in the comment if you have some issue to understand how our YAML script is working here. Okay, so this is the magic of our playbook. we are moving forward with that word in the playbook, and as I said, it's just the beginning. You're going to learn a lot. If you're not a member of this channel already, please subscribe, give a like, and encourage us in the comment, and make more people discover our content, because it's just the beginning, and we're going to share a lot of useful content on software development here, on DevOps and so on. So it's just the beginning. Like, subscribe, and yeah, make sure to watch the next episode that are coming pretty soon. So I'm running my script right now without that the check option, as I said before, and you can see that everything gonna work exactly same. Everything gonna succeed. My process gonna run with 100% of successful result. So awesome. So you can see our play recap. Okay, we have a couple change, and yeah, everything runs successfully. So I'm gonna run hostname right now in order to get our hostname, the name of our hostname server. Okay, and I'm gonna use it, copy it, and move on our browser. I'm using Edge right there, so I'm gonna drop it here, paste it, and push the enter key quickly, validate, and you can see welcome to Apache. If you can see this page, Apache has been successfully installed. You see, it's just awesome. And you can also see welcome to Apache over there, exactly how we have described it on our HTML code. So it's just awesome. We're going to come back on our Visual Studio Code, and we're going to move on one of our we're going to try to check if everything works with our Docker container as well. So I'm going to run quickly Docker PS in order to see the port that I've exposed on my Ubuntu layers. Okay, so we have this 401. Okay, yeah, so this one is our Ubuntu 1 container. So I'm going to add that export port number here and validate it, and you're going to see that you're going to have the same output. So that means that our HTML file has been copied successfully on our container server as well. So this is a great thing to know about configuration file with Ansible. So right now I'm going to try to use tags. Okay, I'm going to show you how to check the tags, the list of the tags that we have on our code. So Ansible playbooks --list -tags, the name of our playbook file, and you can see that on play 1 we have the tags all, and on play 2 we have the tag all and a couple one. I just want to show you a little bit how tags is working. I would like to let you know that you can use the tags in order to realize a specific task on our playbook as well. Okay, so I'm going to take a couple examples right now. Run our Ansible playbook using --tags option, and take just one of my tags, for example always right now, and use the check option, and you're going to see that every section where I've added the tags always going to be executed. Only the one that got the tags always. Okay, you see? So that's exactly how it's working. And that's why tags can be helpful, can be useful in some cases as well. Okay, I'm going to change the always task right now, and I'm going to provide something else like httpd and run the command once again. And you can observe that only all sections that got the httpd tags are running. Okay, so it's just awesome to understand how these tasks can be helpful in order to realize to run some specific section of our code or so on our playbook. So it's something that I would like to share with you as well. But right now I'm gonna change, for example, some tags. Let's say that I'm gonna add Yannick as tags on our first player right now. You're going to see that I can also use that Yannick by replacing the previous one, and you can see that the same thing that we're running before with the previous component. For here, you can see that only the section that got Yannick is running, right? So it's just awesome to discover all the powerful that playbook can allow us to do using tags as well, and so on. I can combine many tags using that sign. Okay, so if I'm using the GMS sign, I can combine many tags. I can combine Yannick, HTTPD if I want, and you're going to combine all the sections that got that both tags as well. Okay, so it's just magic, guy. It's just magic. I love that Ansible stuff and everything that Ansible can allow us to proceed on the nowadays. Okay, so I'm gonna try to move forward now. Use git status in order to check we have in red a couple things that we need to update on our GitHub account. So for that, remember in our previous episode I already showed. So for that, remember in our previous episode I already showed you when I'm clicking on status, I can see what I've deleted, what I've modified. So I'm just going to proceed with git add dot. That means add everything on this path. Okay, I can precise by the name as well of the file that I would like to add, but I would like to add everything that I've updated here. Okay, and after that I can do git commit -m, and I'm going to provide a simple description of what we have added during this episode on our tutorial Ansible series. So you remember it's the name that we have provided to our repository on our GitHub account. So we just continue with the process. Okay, yeah, I'm going to try to move a little bit faster because I passed a lot of time on this process on our previous episode. I think episode 2 or 3. So let's watch that episode if you don't know how to use Git, if you want to know at least the basics of Git. So when I'm running git push origin main, I need some confirmation. I'm going to use my agent. Okay, I already talked a lot about that agent. Okay, so I just make a git push origin main, and everything should be updated on this side. So if you have some incomprehension, drop your question in the comment, and yeah, I will explain you.
Thank you for watching until the end. I will invite you to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and make sure to come back on the next video on our Ansible series. Ciao. So let's be inside my bootstrapping the YAML file that I've pre-written, and I'm going to explain quickly. So inside our YAML file, we have us all become yes, in your error yes, okay, and our tasks are
The first task is create device group, okay? And we're going to use for that Ansible built-in that group. And the name of our group going to be device. The state that we're going to use is present to create it. Then after that, the next task going to be create user account and add to group. And we're going to use Ansible built-in user to create this user and add him to the group that we have created a couple of seconds ago. So we're going to provide a name, which is still going to be device. We create yes, we want the home directory to be created. The shell attached to our user going to be the bin bash. The command, the best in my team, okay? The state present, the group device, and happen, I'm going to say yes, which means that happen this user in the group device, okay? So I've talked a lot about everything on user, all the detail on our previous episode on how to handle user on Linux. So ensure that SSH directory exists. You're going to use the Ansible built-in file, and the path going to be device.ssh, the state directory, the mode 0700, the owner is device, and the group is also device. Okay, so the next step or the next task after that is to add the SSH key for device. Okay, so I'm going to use the Ansible built-in line in file to add this inside the path device.ssh authorize keys. Okay, I'm going to just say create yes line. This is the line of my SSH key that you have created in our previous video in this series. Let me check this quickly and show you just to make you understand 100% what I've written there. Okay, so I'm going to cut the directory where I've stored my keys, my SSH keys, and you're going to see that is exactly the one that I've copied. Okay, so let's see that quickly. Awesome. You see? So it's exactly our Ansible key that we have created. Okay, our SSH Ansible, our Ansible key that we have created. So it's exactly that key that I add here. Okay, and the mode is the 0600. It's a permission. Okay, I also have a episode on permission on Linux on this channel. So let's check on that one if you have no idea about how we are handling permission on Linux. The next task is add the sudo file for device, and we're going to use ansible.building.copy. The source is sudo device, destination etc sudo d/device. The owner is root, the group root, the mode 0440, and the last line is more about to double check and make sure that our sudo file is working correctly. Okay, so that's a little bit it about how we can configure our bootstrapping YAML file, and you can launch this YAML script, this playbook script every time. Okay, but before that, we can launch it every time that we have a new user that I want him to use our Ansible on our server to make some configuration. Let's move on cd etc sudo.d, and you can see that when I list, I have to list with option -LA to be able to see that I have these two root directory and nothing else. Okay, but I'm gonna make something else, and you're gonna understand what I'm doing here. Okay, let's run our Ansible playbook quickly, and after we're going to double check on that previous directory, you're going to see what I've changed. So I'm going to run it on the check on double double hyphen check first, and provide. I have to connect my agent first using SSH AG alias. So agent PID 254338 is connected right now. So I proceed with that syntax check first, and everything looks good. So I'm gonna do the dash check right now in order to simulate the running of my playbook. Okay. So I have some warning error, but after that I have change. Okay. So you can see that all my tasks have executed successfully. Okay. That means that we can run our bootstrapping script as well, or YAML as well, and everything should be okay. Okay. If you didn't see the previous episode of this series, once again, please come move over there and make sure to watch this in order to understand this episode. I couldn't re-explain everything that I've talked about in the previous episode, guys. Please. Okay, thank you. So right now that we have run our command, let's list our sudo.d on our Alma Linux again, and you can see that we have device that is showing up right now, right? So we have some changes, and sudo is something great about handle our permission on our Linux server. Let me know in comment if you want me to explain more about what sudo is or how it's working. But it's something really powerful that every sys admin DevOps engineer should know. Okay. So right now I'm gonna try to connect or to SSH my Alma Linux server, my target Alma Linux server using the user device, and you're going to see that everything going to work since our bootstrapping make has made device as a our bootstrapping provided all the administrative access that Ansible need for a user to be able to run some complex tasks. So let's run that, and you see everything move directly forward. You see, now we are inside our Alma Linux server, guys. So it's just awesome how that thing is working, and I'm so happy to be able to share this with you guys. Okay, so if I'm doing the who am I command, you're going to see that it's user device that is connected. You see, yeah. So it's just awesome. So with this playbook, we are able to use every user that we just sign in or we just hire and make him get all the permission or all the administrative access to work on our server. So that's a little bit it about uh, this bootstrapping script or playbook. Right now, we're going to proceed with our git command in order to update our repository on GitHub. So let's do it quickly right now. Okay. So you can see that we have some red, okay, the new file that we have changed and so on. So I've modified a couple stuff during this video due to the fact that my server has rebooted, but the concept is the same. Okay, so I'm just going to proceed with git add, then git commit using the -m option in order to provide some description of what we have added, and finally get push origin main, and that should be it. Our our repository should be updated after that. Okay, so let's do all the steps that you already know quickly, and yeah, let's close this episode, and we're going to see the best one of the best section of this series on our next episode, where we're going to talk about roles. Okay, so let's finish quickly our git parameter. Our Let's finish quickly with our git command in order to update our GitHub repository. once we have proceeded with all our changes, with all our commit, with all our git comment, and we come back on our repository online right there, we can see that we have adding of bootstrapping 1 minute ago. Okay, adding of bootstrapping the YAML playbook. So, and you can see all the file that we have added and all the description that we have added using the -m. So, for this episode on rules, let's move on our Ansible tutorial repository, and I list the content, and you can see that we have configuration file before rules that I change the name. I make a copy and I change the name for the configuration file. So this one is exactly the content that we had on the previous video, the previous episode. Let's check that one if you didn't see it yet. And you can see that we have exactly all our tasks, copy YMK website, start Apache tool, and so on. And I'm going to show you right now the configuration file.yaml, and you'll be able to see that I've set up the role concept that going to make our playbook clear and more usable, more manageable. Okay, so let's view that file right now. On the first section, I kept the host all, and I keep the pre-task where I'm proceeding with all my updates and so on. And after this step, you're going to see that I have only the different roles that are defined, starting by the role base that's going to contain my my SSH, my user SSH configuration. So you're going to be able to see everything in the following minute or the following line. Okay, so you can see I kept exactly everything that I had in the previous video and in the configuration file before. So
Welcome, 1, 2, 3.
install, update, and so on. So you can see our first role is defined in this configuration file by host on the first line. All become is always true, and rules column at the line, remove one space and write our base role. After that, we're going to define the main group of server that we have. We have the container server and we have our Linux servers. So container server true, the role name container server and Linux server become true, and the role is Linux server. We have only one Linux server right there, but I want to let you know that you can apply everything that we're going to do on 1000 or Android Linux server. So let's register this quickly, and I'm going to show you quickly the content of the role directory that I've created. So using the maked command, I've created the directory roles, and that directory is the next step after setting up the configuration file. So we create that role directory, and inside that role directory, we're going to create a directory for each role that we have created in our configuration file. So you can see that we have base, we have container servers, and we also have Linux servers. Okay, and I also add default site.html in that role directory in order to make our roles work 100% good without any issue. So because everything going to check on local. Okay, so we absolutely have to do that. Let's now cd our task directory inside base and list it. You can see that I have created a main.yaml file, and that main.yaml file going to contain the task that we're going to run in the base role. So that task is add the SSH key for device. So it's exactly the task that we use in our previous episode. Okay, so I just copy it and drop it here, and just the task. You don't need to add anything else. You don't need to add also something like that. Just copy the task and drop it. And it's the same concept that uh, we proceeded with all our rules. So you're going to see that in container server directory, we also have task directory and a main.yaml. Same for Linux server directory. Okay, so we're going to move inside all of them, and you're going to see that for each rows I've assigned or I've copied a specific task in the main.yaml that the role going to allow us to execute uh, more professionally. So you can see right there I have installed the name of the install HTTP or and PHP on Docker server. So the tags I keep the same tags Apache 2, Apache 2, Apache 2 Ubuntu, and the name and so on. So it's exactly the section that we have in our previous playbook. Okay, so cd dash dash slash dash dash allow us to move twice behind. Okay, and you're going to do the same. I'm going to show you the one about Linux servers as well. It's the same concept. So for each one, you're going to create the directory for your role, the task directory inside that directory of the role, and finally, you're going to create a main.yaml file using maybe the vim command or nano, whichever the best one that you prefer to use. Okay. So on this one, I just went inside the previous configuration playbook file, and I just copy some tasks about Linux server, how to install HTTPD, and also uh, yeah. Normally, I kept the next one as well. Normally here I messed up a couple stuff. Normally it's only the Linux stuff, Alma Linux and CentOS stuff that I should copy over there, but I still copy the container server stuff. So but I'm gonna leave it like that. I just want to make you understand the concept. Tell me in comment if you have question. So I vim that Ansible config file just to show you quickly that the remote user is device. I explained this in the previous episode. So I have inventory equal to inventory and the private key. I provided the path of the private key. So and I have deprecation warning equal to false. Okay. So in Ansible configuration file, deprecation warning false is saying that I don't want to take in consideration the deprecation error that we're going to have. Okay, so let's see quickly what we have here right now after everything. I'm going to vim that configuration file once again, and you can see what we have on the first section on the top is only everything about updating all our stuff, and I have my different roles, the base one and my main Linux and container server one. If you have 100 group, is it going to be the same? Yes, the answer is yes. So yeah, I'm doing quickly some kind of revision. Yeah, you see, we have our base container, we have our default, we have our main.yaml file and all our stuff. And when I cut them, you can see, yeah, add SSH key for device. And I'm going to try to show you once again everything uh, that are looking great right now. I've tried to make sure that everything is clean. I'm trying to re-explain you before to launch our playbook. So the container server, you see, we are proceeding with the installation of Apache and PHP, and we're going to check the same for Linux server right now. The main.yaml file for Linux server, and we have this. As I said before, I put I've assigned something that is not particularly for Linux stuff. This is a error that I did, but it's fine. Since we have the one module, normally everything gonna be alright. Okay, yeah. So roles is working just fine, and make sure to add Ansible user equal to root on your Docker container server in the inventory folder or file. Okay, because I got some issue when I didn't put them to run my bootstrapping. So I'm going to proceed right now with the Ansible playbook configuration file, the YAML, that check, just to show you how everything going to work 100%. So I've run it a couple seconds off camera. That's why you're going to see that a couple of action still showing green. You are not going to see them orange because I already run them to verify before to come on camera. So you see add SSH key for device 100% working. Uh, container server task, HTTP. Yeah, you can see that we have a warning could not match supply host pattern ignoring Linux server. So yeah, that's what I was talking about a couple seconds ago. Normally I should put the section for Linux stuff, CentOS stuff only on this one. That's why we have that warning message. But you can see that everything works 100%. Okay, so everything just work 100%. We have our task for base using to add SSH key for device that working. So I'm going to show you right now quickly once again what we have before rows and what we have right now with rows, how our code is looking. You can see that it's small, it's cleaner, and it's pretty light right now. This is the before, and I'm going to show you the after. You're going to see that the rows is just one of the awesome way to make our playbook more professional. So that's it for this episode. If you have learned something, please give a thumbs up, and I will really appreciate if you subscribe to this channel to give us some strength to provide more tutorial like that. Thank you for watching until the end, and see you. Bye.
Welcome back to our Ansible series. Today, we are diving into two powerful features that will make your playbook more flexible and efficient: variables and handlers. By the end of this video, you will understand how to use variable to make your code reusable and how handlers can automatically restart services only when needed. So let's jump on our server quickly. When I list my repository, my local repository, Yon Ansible tutorial, I'm going to move on my inventory file quickly so you will be able to see how I've organized my different server. So as you can see right there, I have container server group and Linux server group. In container server group, I have two Ubuntu one, Ansible host equal to this, which corresponding with the first container Ubuntu that we have, and we have Ubuntu 2, which is defined by Ansible host 172 and 2 by the end. So I already talked about my two container servers during during the previous video, so I'm not going to stay a lot on that one. And my Alma Linux server, which is my third target server right there. So I just want to share that one with you before to continue with all the explanation. Okay, so what are variables? Let's start with variable right now. Think of variables as containers that store values you want to reuse throughout your playbook. Point to var section. You can see the group var directory that I have defined, right? So everything that you're going to define going to point to this group var directory, and everything that you have set up over there. Let me cd that group var. You can name it also host var, so it depends on you. Okay, so you can see that inside the group vars I have the container servers .yaml and Linux server .yaml file. If I cut each of these, you can see that inside Linux server .yaml I have command message defined by I from Alma Linux on Linux. And if I cut the next one, container, you can see that I have common message defined by hello from a Docker Ubuntu server. Okay, so you should be able to see that each of my YAML variable file is pointing on a specific group. We have container server right there, and we also have Linux server over there. Okay, so these are the basic configuration that you have to set up before to start everything. Okay, and you can see on my program here that I've defined it. I've defined a couple variable. Here we have defined two variables: service name set to nginx and config file set to temp test.conf. Okay, so that's a little bit it about variable. The beauty of variables is that if you want to deploy Apache instead of Nginx tomorrow, you just change one line instead of running through your entire playbook. So notice how we use variable with the curly braces, double curly braces, and we define the name inside the double curly braces syntax. See here where we reference service name and config file on my playbook right there. This make our playbook flexible and maintainable. Okay, so what about handlers? What are handlers? Handlers are special tasks that only run when they are notified by other tasks, and they only run once at the end, even if multiple tasks notify them. Look at this notify statement in our task. When a task makes a change, like installing Nginx or updating a config file, it notifies the handler to restore the service. So the key benefit that you can keep in your mind right now about handlers is, first, efficiency. Service only restart once, even if multiple tasks trigger it. Second, we have the conditional, only once if something actually changed. And third, we have clean, separate, which means separate the what from the when. Okay, so what problem we are solving using this endless stuff and so on. Here is where it gets tricky in the real world. Different Linux systems use different service manager. Some use systemd, others don't. Some call the service Nginx, others call it HTTPD. So you can see on the screen quickly a couple errors that I've encountered when I was trying to set up this awesome playbook with variable and handlers. This is why our playbook includes detection logic to handle these differences automatically. Okay, so smart services detection. First, we detect if systemd is available by checking for this directory. You can see on my screen with the task name, check if systemd is available and running. Start path, we provide a path of system, and the register keyword saves the result in a variable we can use later. Okay, then we detect the actual service name because Nginx might be called HTTPD on Red Hat system, and it's the case with the Alma Linux, which is the third target that we are using on our Ansible series. So let's see the task check what Nginx service name is actually available. So you can see the shell command that are provided on the screen. This shell command looks for the actual service name and store it in actual service name variable. Okay, so what about smart handlers in action? Now is the clever part. We have two handlers with the same name but different condition. Handler 1 is the text to restore service using systemd, and the name we are using variable actual service name at the actual service name that standard out on default service name. So state is restarted when systemd available that start that exist. Ansible service manager equivalent to systemd. So you can understand that this first one gonna be executed when Ansible service manager is equivalent to systemd. Okay, and the second one is the one that you're going to use when Ansible service manager is different. It's not systemd. Okay, not systemd available that exists, and Ansible service manager is not equal it's not equivalent to systemd. Okay, so that's a little bit it about this part. When we start service, is triggered on system uses the systemd module. On non-systemd system, and it's the case for container server that we are using, uses the generic service module. Both use the detected service name with actual service name standard out, pipe default service name. Okay, so what about the flow in action? Let's trace through what happened. Variables defined at the top flexible and reusable, right? Detection task run, figure out the system capabilities. Then main task execute, install package, create config. Then task notify handler, hey, something changed, restart the service. Then handler runs once at the end using the right method for each system. Okay, so let's see the debugging output on the screen right now. So I'm gonna run. I'm gonna cut my deploy. Let me cut quickly this file. This playbook file that I've run until the end. So when I cut it, you can see maybe I'm gonna use the vim comment in order to show you more clearly what we have here. So you can see that on the first line, we have our first task name, deploy and manage services using variable and handlers. The host all become true, okay? And we have defined our variables, vars, service name is Nginx for this case, and config file temps. So we have a couple variable exactly as I've explained during the beginning of this video. Then we have our specific task. So you have to provide all your variable before your task, okay? So inside our task, you have the first task that's going to be about display the service manager for debugging. So debug and message is service manager, and depending of the group that you are working on or you are working through, you're going to have a specific message that is going to show up, and you will be able to appreciate it in a couple of seconds. So we have the next task, check if systemd is available and running, and I've explained it during the introduction of this video. You can see the path and the register. After that, we have the task display system, the availability, and we also have the debug message that's going to display on our screen in a couple of seconds. Then we have the create a config file, and over there we are using our variable on the destination. You can see that we have config file that we have defined on the header of our playbook, and we also have a notify, our first notify here that's going to make restart services. Okay, so that's more about the notify that handler is working with. And when I'm moving down, we have the task name ensure service name is installed. So you're going to see how the output going to look on our screen in a couple of seconds. Okay, so let's get down. Okay, and we also have a notify here that's going to restart the service. Okay, so if it's installed, if the service is installed, the handler by the end should restart the service. Okay, so this is the notify option that I was talking about. And after that, we have a name, check what Nginx service name is actually available. And we have the share command that I was talking about. So you can just drop a post, and I also going to provide this the link for this code in the description, so you will be able to access it on the my GitHub account, on my repository, and
watch more, and let me know in the comment if you have a question. Okay, that's a little bit it. I've tried to explain it. So we have a if statement with a couple else if to check what Nginx service name is actually available, and register actual service name. Okay, and this one change when it's false, and I also add the module in your error to yes. Okay, after that you can see that we have name, display actual service name font, and we use the debug module. We we are we are we are displaying the message. Okay, actual service name detected, and you can see we are using the variable. Okay, we're going to see how it's going to look on our screen in a couple of seconds. Okay, after that we have the section on handlers. Okay, so about handlers, as I said before, we have uh, two main handler. The first is named restart service, and systemd. Using systemd and the name, we have our variable actual service name that uh, standard output, and pipe default service name. Okay, and the state restart, daemon reload, yes, when systemd available, that start, that exist, and Ansible service manager is equivalent to systemd. So I already explained this in the introduction. So this one going to execute it for Alma Linux, which is a Red Hat full server application. And this one is about my container where you don't have systemd. You don't have systemd on Docker container server. So we're going to use the second handler, which is named restart service, and service name, actual service name. And you can see I already explained it when we not when not systemd is available. Okay, so let me close this quickly and let's execute our playbook. So I'm just gonna Ansible playbook deploy that YAML. I can ask that check option and run it in uh, in a test mode in order to see if you have some issue. But since I already double check on my code, I'm pretty sure that everything gonna be alright. But I just want to let you know that you can use the data check option when you are working on yours, and make sure that everything works before to deploy in production. Okay, so I'm gonna run it directly. But right now I forgot something. Since I've started with my SSH agent, I should use it. I should always use it to avoid issue on my play. Okay. I've talked on the episode 2 on this here how to set up your SSH agent. So if you would like to know more about it, let's check the first episode of this Ansible series on this channel, and you will be able to learn how to do that, and you will love it. I'm pretty sure. So let's see. Display the service manager for debugging. You see, service manager, systemd, Ubuntu, service manager. So you can see right there, check if systemd is available running. Okay. Display systemd availability. Okay, right there you can see that the availability is false for our both Ubuntu server and true for Alma Linux. Create config file. Everything work. Ensure Nginx is installed. Everything got installed, and task display actual service name font. Okay, so and task display actual service name font, actual service name detected, Nginx. Yep. Then running handler. Okay, so you can see what we got here. So the handler has kept on Ubuntu 1 and Ubuntu 2, and we got a fatal error, limit alma failed, change false, message could not find the requested service HTTP host. Yeah, but overall, we have pretty much everything work 100%. Okay, so you were able to see that everything got triggered normally. But I'm wondering why we got this error here. Failed, change false. That's weird. You were able to see everything works normally. Okay, so I'm going to come back on the top right there and explain line after line. So you can see that on this next play, the gathering fact 100%, display the saving manager for debugging. So you can see that we have everything works. Check if system is available and running. Everything is okay. Then display systemd availability. You can see that for our both Ubuntu, we have false and true for Alma Linux, which is a Red Hat server, Linux server. So that's normal. Create a config file. So we use our variable here to create our config file. And when we are moving down, we have ensure Nginx is installed. Everything is okay. Check what Nginx service name is actually available. And you see we are okay everywhere. Display actual service name font. So we have Nginx for Ubuntu, and for Alma Linux we have HTTPD. So yeah, the play recap, everything works 100%. Out 8, out 8, and out 8. Okay, so it's just awesome. So let's just check what's happened. Before to close this video, talk about a couple best practices recap. What about variables? We have to use them for anything that might change. There are clear descriptive names, group related variable together. Okay, so when you use them for anything that might change, we use variable for clear descriptive name and also for group related variable together. And what about handler? Handlers only for tasks that should run conditionally. Use descriptive names. Include error handling with in-your errors. Test different systems. Not everything use systemd in our case, for example. This playbook now works across different Linux distributions and init system. That's the power of combining variable with smart handler. Thank you for watching until the end. Please hit subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss the awesome last episode of this series that is coming pretty soon. And if you didn't watch the previous one of this series, let's watch them, and I'm 100% sure that you're really going to appreciate, you're really going to love them. Thank you for watching once again, and bye.